Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast, the podcast where you find new friends and new music. And this week I'm joined by his Tennessee singer-songwriter Mitch Rossell. And Mitch, thanks for jumping on with me, man.
No, dude, it's a pleasure to be on here with you, Ty. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, let's start by giving everybody kind of the Wikipedia of where you came from. Give everybody like the Cliff Notes version of where you started and how you got where you are now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like you said, East Tennessee, kind of up and down the side of the state there. That's why I just say East Tennessee. Man, didn't start playing guitar until I was almost 18, freshman year of college. Picked it up because my dad had always wanted me to play when I was a kid. And never would. I was just a sports kid, and I actually lost my dad when I was a kid. And so I vowed after that I would play one day, and picked it up the summer before I went to college. No intentions of doing anything with it. It just felt absolutely head over heels for music, and just obsessed over it and started writing songs. And next thing I knew, I came back home to finish my degree. And 15 days after I graduated with my degree, I moved to Nashville and just started grinding, man. Just writing songs, playing gigs, and crazy stuff has happened. And I've been very fortunate, and I'm here today, very, very blessed for sure.
Well, I definitely want to get into some of the crazy stuff because some pretty cool stuff that you've been able to do. But when you first started playing guitar, were you one of those guys that picked it up and just kind of knew right away how to manipulate it and do what you wanted with it? Or were you one of those guys that it took a while to kind of to feel it out?
I don't know that anybody just picks it up and knows how to manipulate it, so to speak. I mean, if someone tells you that, I think they probably might be stretching that a little bit.
You're probably right.
It's so unnatural for your muscles, and your hands and the way your hands work. You have to train them, it takes time. I would say it's just like anything, you have to have a natural ability. I believe that for 100%. You have to have a natural talent for it. But then after that, that'll only take you about maybe 30% of the way. And then it's just how much time and work you're willing to put in, So for me, my personality is very obsessive. So anytime I get passionate about something, I just go 100 miles an hour at it until I get it how I want to get it. And the beauty of music is there's always room to get better. So I think that's why it's always kept my attention. And so I got pretty good quickly, but it wasn't because I was so much more talented. I think it was more because I just put the time in,
Well, I think almost every successful musician that you talk to, they're the same way. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like really any other art or craft that if you don't work at it, you're not going to end up doing anything with it. You'll be that guy that plays around in your room by yourself for a while.
Yep, absolutely, man. I mean, I believe that with all my heart. I'm very much a blue collar, lunch pail kind of guy. That's the kind of writer I am. That's the kind of artist I like to be. Put the work in. When you write a song, put the work in. Take your time, do it right. Learn a guitar, put the time in, do it right. Just anything you do. You want to be a police officer, you want to be a teacher, whatever it is. If you want to be great at it, you got to put the time in.
Well, and do you remember the first time that you actually got out there and played in front of people?
Oh, man. In front of a crowd that I didn't know?
Yeah.
Or in front of anybody? I think it was actually a little festival near where I'm from. I want to say it was a festival in North Georgia. I'm trying to remember the name of it. That's been a long time ago, man. I've slept since then a couple times. But I think that was the first time. It was in a little bitty kind of, I think it was like in a little barn that they converted into a venue. And it was one of those kind of, most festivals have several stages. And so this was a kind of an indoor inside a barn, but would open to the outside. And probably, 50 people, something like that. And it was the first time I'd played in front of strangers, yeah.
So when was it? I know that you graduated college, then moved to Nashville. When was it that you kind of decided that music was what you wanted to do full time? Was it in college or was it after that?
Yeah, it was in college. I went to Virginia Tech my freshman year. Great experience. I needed to get away from home to, I think we all go through different journeys, I guess. And my journey was definitely one of kind of just had a really hectic childhood and really wanted to get away from everything I'd ever known, just because I was that kind of personality. I wanted to kind of just go be different. and that's always how I was as a kid. Even if everybody liked, the red Power Ranger, I always liked the blue one just so I could be different or whatever. Everything, whatever it was, I always had to be different. So left home, and it was such a good experience for me because it literally made me realize how much I loved who I was, and not in a cocky way, more in just appreciating where I was from, the fabric of my life, and how I was raised, and just being from Tennessee, near from the South, all the things that come with that. And so it, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Dude, I'm sorry, Ty.
No,
Can
man.
we start that question over?
No, it's all good, man.
I'll tell you, I've done a lot of interviews, and I fairly articulate guy, but when you have a 3.5-year-old and a 6-month-old, and it's 7 o'clock at night, I'm learning that you're pretty much cooked.
Oh man, I can imagine. I've got a 6-year-old here, and even just he wipes me out by the end of the day.
Oh, dude, yeah, you know how it is, man. So sorry, I'm feeling like a bum right now.
No, man.
Yeah, if you don't mind, can we go back into that one?
Yeah. So it's just, what was it like, when you decided to actually play music for a living? When you finally made that decision that, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, so I came back home from Virginia Tech after my freshman year, and I ended up getting introduced to a guy named Mark Gray. My uncle Richard, he was in some circles and had, met Mark a few times. Mark was a hit songwriter in the late 80s, I think early 90s as well. He had some cuts, and an artist as well. Amazing piano player, amazing vocalist, amazing songwriter, just really talented guy. And he unfortunately had a stroke, and so he moved to Chattanooga from Nashville to kind of recover and just, get some serenity and really try to just heal, and he was approached by a lot of people, obviously, in a town where, music is, Nashville's so saturated with music, but anywhere else, if you're the guy who's had some success, everybody kind of goes see you to try and, my brother plays, can you listen to him, my cousin, my daughter, whoever it is. So he had been approached a lot, and for whatever reason, man, I still don't know why, because I was terrible, but he saw the raw ability, I guess, or something, and he spent a whole summer with me, and he just helped me learn how to craft a song, and just a lot of little things, and really helped critique a lot of songs for me. And it was at that point he instilled a lot of confidence in me, and it was at that point I really started thinking, man, I think I can do this,
So you talk about when you moved to Nashville, and I saw one quote where you said, you moved to Nashville to make music that gets back to Garth, and you talk about being a little bit, a little bit of opposite of everybody. But I think there's not a whole lot of people out there that dislike Garth Brooks, and now you've got a pretty cool connection with him. You wrote "Ask Me How I Know," which was his first #1 hit since like 2007. What was that like? How did that relationship come about between you and Garth?
Yeah, man. Gosh, it's a long story to give all the details, but the SparkNotes version is I had an opportunity to send him an email when he was cutting for Man Against Machine, and Garth he's one of a kind in every way. He is just he's a phenomenal human being, phenomenal artist, and he's an enigma.
Yes,
bottom line,
yes.
Like he's the most I don't even know how he does it. He's unbelievable. But you can imagine the amount of emails he got, and he listens and he reads them. He listens to them. He responds to people. It's crazy, just to think about how overwhelming that has to be. But he does. And so sent him an email, and sure enough, within a couple of weeks, he responded to me and just sent me this incredible response that I'll never forget. And it basically just said, Mitch, this town, the music changes, but the town has always been the same. It always makes the most talented guys earn it. He said, you're one of those guys. You're in the top 1% of this town. Keep writing. Keep doing what you're doing. These songs will have their day. And I was absolutely blown away. Really emotional. I came to town because of Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks is the absolute #1 influence on me as a writer, as an artist. So there's no more full circle than that. And So after that, we just kept talking through email. I emailed him back, sent him more songs. He emailed me back, wanted to know more about me, wanted to know where I was from, then eventually wanted to meet, in the studio and just hang out a little bit and get to know me better. And next thing I know, we're talking here and there, texting. He comes to a showcase that I have in town and stays for the whole show, stays after, buys everybody pizzas before. I mean, just incredible stuff, stuff that you just, if you dreamed something up, it would be this. You wouldn't even dream this up. It's too big for even a dream. And then next thing I know, I'm writing with him, and then fast forward, I think a couple of years after we had first met, we'd gotten to be friends at that point, and I think I was cutting my own EP, and I wanted Garth's help and just advice, and picking songs, and he was gracious enough to let me use his studio to track the songs in. And so I sent him 4 songs, and I was just like, hey man, what do you think of these? You think they're good songs for the EP I'm doing? And he emailed me and said, hey, when can you come to the house? I want to talk to you about your writing and your publishing, and you have a pub deal and all that. And went to his house and was talking to him for a while, and then I finally started kind of deciphering. I think he wants to cut one of these songs. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting here. So I just kind of flat out said it. I said, hey man, it sure sounded like you want to cut one of these. Is that what I'm hearing? And he goes, yeah, actually I do. He goes, but I'm just, my only fear is I don't want to take a hit away from you. And I said, bro, take it away. Take it. So yeah, it was Ask Me How I Know. I knew immediately when he said he wanted to cut one, I knew which song it was. And I said, hey, is it Ask Me How I Know? And he goes, yeah. And yeah, that was a year before he actually put it on a record. And so in this town, that nothing is in stone until it's on the shelf. And so, it's been a year just going, oh God, please, Lord. So then he tells me he thinks it's a smash, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if he'll change his mind in a year. And so he comes up to me and he gives me the first mix of it, and he goes, hey, I'm pulling for it to be the first single. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then it wasn't the first single, and I was like, oh, here we go. He's not going to single it, I'll bet. And I was like, well, no, I'm going to hold on to hope. I believe I know he's going to do it. He said he thinks the hit. Sure enough, next single, Ask Me How I Know, and the rest is history. So crazy.
Well, and he just seems like, you say that he's an enigma, but he's also he's this weird mix of superstar and just normal everyday guy. I mean, he came to here to Spokane and played 7 shows in a row here in the arena in town, and every single person that met him, from radio to TV to the workers at the Taco Bell across the street, like, everybody was like, he's just the Garth Brooks that you expect him to be.
Yep. I remember going to that Taco Bell. That was so funny. We got the whole crew, everybody rolled into that Taco Bell, and I bet there was probably 50 of us and ordered food. It was so funny.
That's awesome.
That's right. You're bringing back some good memories. Yeah, he is remarkable, man. I mean, he is, like you said, what makes Garth so special is not only is he brilliant, he is the most man's man, and also the most in touch with his emotions, passionate, compassionate, empathetic, rolled into one. Like, both extremes of that. Same thing with, like you said, he is that with so many things. He is the superstar icon, and he's the guy that'll give you the shirt off his back and talk to you like he's known you for 20 years. He's both of those people. It's what makes him so dynamic. It's what makes him so brilliant, so successful, so great at what he does.
Well, and you always hear that. You always hear that, don't meet your hero because they're not going to be who you think they are. And I've never heard anybody say a negative word about Garth Brooks. I lived in Oklahoma City for like 9 months, and his hometown, Yukon's just right outside of Oklahoma City. And you would walk into like the Waffle House there, and people would be talking like he was their best friend. And it's just kind of crazy. Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm the same way. I've never heard a single negative thing, and just knowing Garth the way I know him, he far exceeded my expectations. I knew he was probably going to be a really cool dude if I ever got to meet him, but he far exceeded those expectations, and he's just a regular guy, man. He goes to Subway. We were writing one night, and we went to Kroger at like 9 o'clock because Trisha was gone, and we were two helpless dudes that were hungry, and so we went and got some sandwiches. And he's walking around Kroger. You know, he's just a normal guy, man. Normal guy.
That's awesome. So he ends up cutting Ask Me How I Know, and then it ends up going #1. And since then, you've become kind of a regular writer on songs of his, with credits on like All Day Long, and then the newest with Blake Shelton, Dive Bar. Is it?
Yep.
Real quick, is it true that you got your scuba certification just for the Dive Bar music video?
Yes, that is absolutely true, my friend.
So, working with him like that, has it kind of shaped your sound and the music that you're working on, and the music that you're releasing for yourself at all?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say, not necessarily currently. I think that what has shaped the way I've made music from the beginning is what was ingrained in me and listening to his music well before I met him. And I'm not saying it doesn't still shape it in some way currently, but I think more of it is just what's ingrained in me as a songwriter. To me, being a songwriter, I'm not saying you can't go through phases as a writer and write different styles a little bit and but I think that the theme of how someone writes, at least for me, I mean, maybe some guys are just way more talented, but I feel like you can always tell when you hear something of mine, you can hear a similar vibe, if that makes sense. There's just something I do, and I think this is how most people are. I think you hear certain, like Garth stuff, you hear stuff that he's a writer on, and it has this certain thing about it that he always injects into the song. And so I think that he's definitely shaped my writing, but more so from what was kind of ingrained in me, when I was a teenager listening to those records.
Well, and you were kind enough to share a few of your songs with us here today. The first one we have you put out earlier this year. It's called All I Need to See. Talk to us about that song. How did that come about?
Yeah, that song's really special to me, and it's really cool, and it's just a testament to how unique songwriting is and how it can you can just do some really cool things. I wrote that song probably, I don't know, maybe a few months after I met my wife. Granted, obviously wasn't married at the time. Didn't know I was going to marry her. But you kind of, new relationship, you're all amped up, the whole rush of it all. And so as a creative person, that's prime time right there. You got to take advantage. Everything is, all the juices are flowing. You want to write. And so I just wrote a love song, and it's kind of what I envisioned my hope for our relationship to be. And of course, injected some of her characteristics in there that I noticed over the few months we've been dating and all that. And what's crazy is we went through our ups and downs. We actually broke up for a little while, got back together, and asked her to marry me. And what's crazy is that she has become the epitome of what that song is. And I thought that was just so cool, man. I mean, to write something that was almost prophetic. You know what I mean? Like, it was really cool. I love that song. I love hearing that song for that reason.
Well, here, let's let everybody take a listen to it. This one's called All I Need to See by Mitch Rossell.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've never seen Venice or slow dance under Paris lights. Never stood by the pyramids or hiked up the Great Divide. Well, I've never been to Times Square to celebrate the new year, and I've never seen Willie Nelson live. And if I never get to, that's alright. 'Cause I've seen you with your hair down and your bare feet, dance around the living room, spilling wine on your dress. And I've seen you on a bench seat in a tank top and your blue jeans, getting your lipstick on my neck. So if all I do is live in this small town with you and never leave, I've seen all I need to see. green hills that roll for miles. But my guess is that they ain't got nothing on your green eyes. And I've never seen Niagara Falls or stood inside the prison walls where cash recorded life. Some may say I'm missing out, but that's a lie. 'Cause I've seen you when your song's on and you're singing words that are all wrong, and you swear to me that that's how it goes. And I've seen you when tears fall, 'cause the episode that you just saw felt like more than just a show. So if all I do is live in this small town with you and never leave, I've seen all I need to see. Yeah, I've seen you with your hair down and your bare feet, dancing around the living room, spilling wine on your dress. And I've seen you on a bench seat in a tank top and your blue jeans, getting your lipstick on my neck. So if all I do is live in this small town with you and never leave, yeah, that'd be fine with me, 'cause I've seen all I need to see.
That one's called All I Need to See by Mitch Rossell. And Mitch, that song has over 200 million streams on Spotify. And like, as an artist and a songwriter, what's a better feeling? Or, I mean, is there a better feeling? Is it when your song gains traction like that and it's one that you've got? Or is it writing a number one song for somebody else like you did with Garth?
Sorry, I'm not sure if you want me to interject here. You said 200 million, and it's 2 million.
Or
so
2 million. No, you're right.
I wish.
Hey, I've never been good with numbers. I apologize.
Me either, man. Me either. You want to stay with saying, listen, I'm not going to argue with you, but I just wanted to give you.
I appreciate that. But yeah, so with that, is that a cooler feeling, or is it when you write something for somebody like Garth that ends up going number one?
Man, I know you're not gonna like this answer probably, but I don't think I can pick. I mean, they're just different. And I think what makes it really hard is that Garth is not just an artist, you know, like, and I mean that in a way that, like, I would be so over the moon if so many artists cut my song. I mean, Tim McGraw, I love all those guys. You know, Garth, just, again, there's a spiritual connection there, you know, for me, and just a really deep connection musically, and now as a friend and someone that I admire and respect and just think the world of. There's another level of when I get a Garth cut. It's like, it's very, I don't know, I want to sound over dramatic. It's literally spiritual. Like, I'm a man of faith, and
like, it's almost like a dream come true.
It is. It's more than that. Honestly, it's a fairy tale come true, and that's just. I sit here every single day, and I just have moments where I just stop for a second, and I just sit there and thank God over and over again, just going, why me? Why do I get this? Why do I get to enjoy this amazing blessing? And so that's just a really amazing thing. But again, on the flip side of that coin, I do want to be an artist. And, you know, when you write a song and release it as an artist, or even if you don't write it and you release it as an artist, there's something really special about that as well when it's received well and when people, you know, when people dig it. And all I Need to See has been really amazing to watch. I mean, it has just soared up in streams, and people have been just really, really kind in their response to it, and seem to be really digging it. So I'm very grateful for that too.
Well, so let's shift gears a little bit now. This is a good time. I want to talk about your songwriting process a little bit. What's that look like? Are you one of those guys that starts with a title or a melody, or do you have like a waterproof notepad in your shower that you just jot down stuff on, or is a little combination of all of it?
Yeah, that's a good idea, man, because I'm telling you, I know you've heard this probably from every writer you've interviewed, but what is it about the shower that just like ideas? I've written full songs in the shower, which is not like me. I'm a very slow writer. And I'm telling you, by the time I dry off, I can't even remember one of the words in it. It's the weirdest thing. So that's a good idea, actually. Someone needs to invent that. Man, I wouldn't say there's a formula for me. I mean, I've done all of it. I've started with a melody. I've started with a first line. I've started with, you know, just name it. I've probably started with it, a guitar riff, a guitar progression, whatever. But I will say normally I am very much a hook style writer. And if you listen to most of my songs, they have a hook. They have a moment where it has a spin or a twist, or, you know, it has a resolve basically. And so I like to have that. I like to have that kind of ironed out and have a place to write to. But again, not always the case. Just I would say 80-90% of the time, that's how I write.
Well, so, and we've got another song here for everybody, and you just put out a music video for this. It's actually kind of paired with another music video, but this one's called Slow As I Could. And how did this song come about?
Yeah, man. So I wrote that with my buddies Dave Turnbull and Casey Beathard, two of the most talented songwriters in this town. And I think that was Casey's idea, actually. And as soon as he said it, I was like, holy crap, man, that's a story right there. I mean, I remember the first time I took my wife out, again, first date, so not married yet, but first time I took her out, I think I'd had kind of a chill day. I had a kind of a break, and so I had the whole afternoon to myself, and I was jacked to go pick her up. You know, just pumped up, and you know, you don't want to seem overeager. I mean, I'm not saying you get there at like 7:10, but I was supposed to pick her up at 7, maybe show up 7:02 or something, like, you know, get there.
Yeah,
you know, maybe respectful, but not like, you don't want to look like a goofball, basically. You know, like just a overeager, you know what I'm saying. So sure enough, though, I was pacing around. Well, it got to be like 6:15, 6:20, and I had to drive about 25 minutes, but I guess convinced myself that I would drive slowly, and that, you know, you never know, I might catch traffic or some crap, like, you know, the whole thing. So I jump in the car, and sure enough, I lose sight of all that. I just am flying down the road and get there, not even paying attention, just completely oblivious, pull right in the driveway, look down at 6:40, and I'm going, you dumbass. like maybe 5 minutes earlier or something, but come on, dude, 20 minutes? So as soon as he said that idea, I just connected it to that moment and started laughing. And I was like, dude, we got to write that. That's perfect. I mean, I've lived that. So yeah, that's how that one kind of came about.
Well, and I love that your songs actually have a story behind them. They're not just like out of the blue. There's actually something behind them, which is really cool. But let's let everybody take a listen to this one. This one's called Slow As I Could.
In the back of my mind, I was thinking, just play it cool, man. Whatever you do, don't get there on time. But now I'm 20 minutes early, sitting in her driveway, killing time, kicking myself. Damn, this old Tacoma for blowing my cover and flying like a bat out of hell. Got here as slow as I could. Try not to run any lights. Try to drive like I should, but thinking about how she looks topped off the tank, drove round the block. Yeah, but she's already seen me, 'cause she just sent me a message saying she'll be out in a few. I got a thumbs up, dialed up, but take your time, typed up, sending anything but the truth. Got here as slow as I could, try not to run any lights, try to drive like I should, but think about how she looks drove me out of my mind. Yeah, the fire in her eyes in my head put the lead in my foot. Got here as slow as I could. It's 5 minutes till 7, and she's flying out the door. I meet her in the grass between my truck and her porch, and she smiles at me, says I couldn't wait no more. Got here as slow as I could. Yeah, girl, the fire in your eyes in my head put the lead in my foot. Got here as slow as I could. Yeah, as slow as I could. I did my best, baby. Got here as slow as I could.
And that one, guys, called Slow As I Could by Mitch Rossell. And Mitch, you've released quite a few singles this year, right?
Let's see. This year I released 3 actually.
So
3.
three. So is there more music on the horizon that fans can look out for?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of new music cut and done. A lot of new music done. A lot of new music still working on. I mean, like 15 songs.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. So we're not messing around. We're just trying to figure out how to release them at the right times and give them their moments and just let them get absorbed and all that. So.
Well, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be one of the struggles as an artist in this day of digital music consumption, is trying to figure out how and when to release the songs at the right time. Because it used to be you'd release a couple of singles to radio and then you'd release the album. And now it seems like more and more artists are just going the single route. And, here I'm going to release a bunch of singles and then eventually I might, throw them all on an EP or on an album or something like that.
Yeah. It's, I don't want to, I love albums, so it is a shame that the model now it's kind of in this middle place that we haven't really figured out how to get some of those songs to people that aren't singles, because not every song is a single, but my favorite songs always are record cuts, always. And so how do you give those songs a moment? And I still don't really know the answer to that, but the best approach we can come up with is that we're going to treat every song like a single in the social/digital space, especially because I'm not a radio artist yet. I haven't been gotten to that point in my career. Hopefully will. But we're going to treat every song like a single because we can, we can do that. And even though some of the songs I don't believe are necessarily radio hits, I still love some of them, and I think that they need to be heard, and I think they just need to be heard. So that's kind of how we're approaching it.
Definitely. And if fans are online, where can they find you on social media and on the web so they can keep track of when the next song's going to drop?
Yeah, I mean, all of my socials, we always post when new music's coming out. We're doing covers every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So that'll be on YouTube. And then also I'll post the video on Facebook. And so you can go to Facebook, Mitch Rossell, Rossell. My Instagram and Twitter handles are both the same. It's Mitch_Rossell, Rossell. So yeah, that's a good place to go if you want to hear any updates.
Awesome. So we end the show the same way every time. With what we call the Final Four, and they're probably the 4 toughest questions that I'm going to ask you this whole time, just because they make you think a little bit. But before we get there, we've got one more song for everybody, and I believe it's your latest single. It's more of an upbeat breakup song. It's called 2 Weeks. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, man. So this is a really fun one, and it's one I wrote with my friend Cassidy Lynn. And when we wrote it, it's just really just fun, just lighthearted and kind of like reflecting on, like, mainly me, just reflecting on some relationships where I was just a dumb boy, and just broke up with a girl or whatever, and then there's nothing worse than seeing a girl with some other guy, even if you broke up with her. It sucks. And so, especially if it's only been a couple weeks. And so that it was just fun, man. It's one of the few songs I've written in the past couple of years that really didn't have much of a direction hook wise. We didn't really have a hook for that song for the longest time. We spent probably 3 writing sessions on that, and had that melody, that chorus, the verse is pretty much written, and we loved how it felt. I mean, it's so infectious, that melody is so infectious. So we knew we had something cool, but we had to figure out how to wrap it up. And so it just kind of came to a place where we felt like it was right. So yeah, really, really digging that song.
Well, here we go. Here it is for everybody else. It's called 2 Weeks by Mitch Rossell.
I said she might show, I doubt it though, 'cause I'm sure she knows I'm here. My buddy looked at me grinning, pointed toward the kitchen. She was handing her friend a beer. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw her laugh like that. Her eyes ain't red, and that red dress says she ain't worried about the fact that it's only been 2 weeks since I said I'm leaving. So I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing. There's no mixed signals that I'm misreading. That girl's doing just fine. Yes, she ain't hurting, and man, it shows. Her eyes are shining where tears ain't flowing. She's a far cry from looking heartbroken, and I wonder if she knows that it's breaking mine. I could drop my pride, go say hi, try and get her back, or I could just roll out, head toward the house. Wait, who the hell is that? I ain't ever seen her, and I've met every one of her friends. Yeah, I broke it off, but it don't mean I want her hanging out with him. 'Cause it's only been 2 weeks since I said I'm leaving. So I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing. There's no big signals that I'm misreading. That girl's doing just fine. Yeah, she ain't hurting, and man, it's showing. Her eyes are shining where tears ain't flowing. She's a far cry from looking heartbroken, and I wonder if she knows that it's breaking mine. Yeah, it's only been 2 weeks since I said I'm leaving. So I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing. There's no mixed signals that I'm misreading. That girl's doing just fine. Yes, she ain't hurting, and man, it's showing. Her eyes are shining where tears ain't flowing. She's a far cry from looking heartbroken, and I wonder if she knows that it's breaking mine. Mine. Breaking mine. Mine. Breaking mine. Mine. Breaking
And Mitch, that one's called 2 Weeks, and you just released the music video for that one and Slow As I Could, and they're kind of connected. And then there's kind of a little story to it that really kind of comes together
Yeah.
at the end of the 2 weeks music video when the main character is woken up on the couch getting ready to go on a date. Explain how that kind of fits into the story there.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it was kind of I wanted to release a couple of songs, and so I thought it'd be cool to release Slow as I Could and 2 weeks because I just love them. I think they're fun. They're great summer songs, which is where we were. And so in order to release 2 songs and 2 music videos, yeah, we could have definitely done them separately. But I thought, man, well, wouldn't it be cool if I connect the videos somehow? And so I just tried to think of ways to connect them and make it like a whole story. And, I'm a big story guy, that's how I write. And so it just kind of naturally goes into how I produce music videos and, direct music videos, I should say, or write them. And so yeah, it's just meant to be kind of funny and easy and lighthearted, and they're not big fancy videos. They're just really simple. That was kind of the point. Just make them have a good time and make it just a funny story where a guy is basically being the same role that I was in when I went on the first date with my wife, and he's just dying to go pick this girl up, and Slow as I Could, you watch the video and you think that it's all happening, and then 2 weeks, same thing, and then you realize at the end of 2 weeks that he was actually dreaming. He fell asleep on the couch before he was supposed to go pick the girl up in Slow as I Could. So none of it even happened, which is just kind of funny.
See, I think that's fantastic. But here, let's jump into the final 4. Like I said, it's probably the 4 toughest questions that I'm going to ask you all day, just because it makes you think a little bit. And the first one is,
okay,
what's your favorite place that you've ever played?
Oh my gosh!
I told you they're not easy.
Oh, that's tough. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and it's only because there is a little bit of a. I don't have a favorite. There's just too many amazing places. I'm gonna say Cincinnati on the Garth tour because they gave me my first full arena standing ovation. So that was a pretty special moment for sure. So I'll go with that one.
I bet that's a heck of a memory.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, how about this? What's the best show that you've ever been to that you weren't a part of?
Oh, Garth.
That's a good
Definitely.
pick.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even being biased, really. Like, I would probably say that anyways, even if it wasn't fully true, then I would be biased. But I can say I'm not biased. Like, it's literally the best show I've ever seen. It's amazing.
And I agree with you hands down. When that show was here in Spokane, I mean, that show is my favorite show that I've ever been to.
Yeah, you're on a long list.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, how about this one? If you could play anywhere in the world at any venue, where would it be?
Oh, dude, you're killing me.
I told you they're tough.
Yeah, it would be between the Ryman or Red Rocks in Colorado.
Ooh, that's a good pick. You get a lot of people picking Red Rocks. I still haven't been there, and I feel like it's almost blasphemy that I haven't.
Yeah, it's incredible, no doubt about that.
Okay, so here's the last one, and I'm gonna add a caveat to this one. But if you could play on if you could play with anybody on a stage, split the bill, other than Garth, who would it be?
Split the bill, like I'm an artist or I'm playing in a band?
You're an artist, and it can be dead or alive.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, the Eagles.
Oh, that's a good one.
Original members.
Boom, done. Easy. That is a great answer.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's probably the one I have to go with.
Awesome. Well, Mitch, man, thank you so much for taking time, jumping on here and chatting with us.
I appreciate it, man. You were awesome. Thanks for great questions, and thanks for supporting the music, man.
Absolutely, man. And before we leave, guys, be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button on the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and go follow Mitch Rossell on everything so that you can keep track of what he's doing. He just posted a cover of Keith Urban's "We Were" on YouTube, and it's a fantastic cover.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So everybody, this has been the Tea Party Podcast, where you find new friends and new music like Mitch Rossell. We'll see you in the next one.